Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You got questions, she has answers. And I feel like every time we get together with her, it's almost, or at least a part of it, is almost like astrological news. Like it's a new news update. It's why things are going on today connected to astrology. She's a psychological astrologer. Carmen Turner Schott is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
I am good. I'm good. I don't want to go back to, I don't want it to be Groundhog Day like last time we got together. And I said, just feels weird. There's like heaviness in the air. I just talked to some people earlier today saying the same exact thing. And you had said, and we said this a week ago, and it still feels like it's here, where emotions are running higher. There's a lot of angst. I'm not even talking about the world situation, which we're going to get to in a moment, but just in general from the planet situation, it's still hanging with us, isn't it?
Yes. This is the energy of the eclipses that we've been having. So we just had that big solar eclipse, which the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the energy of these eclipses is not just a one-day thing. It affects us for several months. And so it's going to affect us into April when we have that full solar eclipse where there'll be darkness for four. It's a full, there's like annular, there's partial. It's going to be a full one in April. And so I think from now to April, that energy is affecting all of us, is what astrologers believe, because it's not just a one and done deal. We're still feeling that intensity that we were feeling, and we're going to through the holidays and even to the first of the year. It's not going to go away for a little while. We're going to have, because we have another, I think after April 2024, right now, everyone in the world is experiencing change in their life in some area, because that's what eclipses do. They force change and growth and rebirth. It could be psychological change, mental, physical, emotional, practical things. Could be changing jobs, changing relationships. All these things are really affecting everyone. And if you look at your life, everyone can feel that something major just changed. And I just went through that after I talked to you last week on Sunday. I was sitting here and, I had an opportunity come up, and I was just, trying to think about it. And all of a sudden I just felt like I got to do this. Like, this is now, I have to do this thing. And before I was a little bit, like it set my ways, I'm not sure I'm comfortable. I don't know about taking risks. And I'm like, no, it just felt right. As soon as we had that eclipse last Sunday, I was like, I'm ready to change my life. Like, I started eating better. I'm like, I'm going to start exercising. Like, like I had this different energy about getting out of my rut, getting out of my rut that I've been in, this, safe energy that we get a little stuck. Because it just,
I agree. I'm so with you. So with you. I had a little shoulder issue, could be a rotator cuff, minor. I'm going to go for months. Finally set the appointment for the MRI next week. Taking care of all that stuff. Just got a text less than 45 minutes ago from a very, very, very close friend who I worked with. Known her for like 20 years. We worked together like 10 years. And based on what you just said, she said, I'm going to go midstream in the text. I'm setting boundaries. I'm giving my notice next week with nothing lined up, and IDGAF. You can figure out what that means. I don't give a my well-being is at stake, has been, and it's costing me my peace, and that's where I draw the line.
See, that is the kind of change that people are feeling. It's like they're done. They're just done. They're ready to cut ties. They're ready to, speak their truth. They're ready to confront things. And also you see things differently now that in this energy, it reveals things that you may have been ignoring, even though your gut instinct told you need to do it. Like, you need to get a new job. You need to get out of this relationship, or you need to have a talk with them because it's not, you're not telling them what you really think and feel. All these things come to a head. And it's amazing, just everyone I know in my life, even people that don't believe in astrology, but they're sharing with me, and I'm like seeing this eclipse energy happening in their life, and they're like, what's going on? Like, I just feel like, I just want to end things. I just want a clean start. I just want a fresh start. And I want to cut ties, and I'm like, hey, do what you feel, and you got to go with your gut instinct. And I took my own advice, Sunday. I'm like, you know what? If you don't take risk in life, you're never going to know if something could work out. Sometimes we play it safe, and these eclipses are going to challenge you as a person, because we all have our different personalities, our different sun signs and moon signs. And so this eclipse affected different areas of everyone's life, depending on where that moon was. All of the new moon and all that was going on last week was really powerful. And then right now, like today is a big day, this October 20th, and the sun is in Libra still right now, which, we talked about. Libra is the sign of balance, the scales of justice. It's all about compromise and negotiation, because Libras always see both sides of an issue, and they're really good at getting people to come together and agree. And today, 2 U.S. hostages were released today. And it's interesting because the sun in Libra conjuncts Mercury in Libra today. Mercury is the planet of communication, negotiation. Let's work things out. Let's hash it out. Let's communicate. And that's that Libra energy today. They were able to get some hostages released. So
Wow.
they're working together, all of these people, even though they may be at odds. They're working together now, and it's going well right now. The problem is this energy of Libra, and let's get along, let's peace and harmony rules Libra, the energy of the sign Libra. So this whole month, it's been about that. Let's have peace, let's have harmony, but let's also balance that Aries energy, which is the god of war. Aries is war, aggression, speaking your minds, using your words, and being a little selfish. So we're balancing selfishness with people, relationships, peace. And now on October 23rd, in a couple of days, the sun is going to move into Scorpio. And, we talked about Scorpio energy is intense energy. It's passionate. It's deep. It's transformative. It's death, rebirth. It's also jealousy, revenge. It's these intense energies. And something interesting that I like to share is that Pluto, the planet of nuclear power and intensity, rules Scorpio. But guess what? The ancient other planet that also ruled Scorpio was Mars. And, we talked about, so Pluto and Mars are associated with Scorpio, and Mars is the planet of war, aggression, right? Going after what you want, and violence, things like that. So this energy, I think, is going to intensify after next week. And I think we're going to see more of psychological warfare, more negotiations aren't going to be happening like they are right now. Right now is a good time because this Libra energy is helping people try to get peace and kind of see each other's point of view. Then that shift into Scorpio is going to be like intense. Like Scorpios are about like what I want to get, what I want, and I see through things, and very psychological sign. They're the sign of healing too, though. So there could be a lot of healing. I'm hoping it's a positive thing that we see when this goes into Scorpio, because it's going to be there from October 23rd to November 22nd. So everyone that's born October 23rd, November 22nd, your sun sign Scorpio. So it'll be Scorpio season in a couple days.
Now, does this mean that let's look at Aries, it's the sign of war, astrological sign connected to war. It doesn't mean that if you are an Aries that you're an aggressor, you're into war, you're into fighting, correct?
No, but if you look at it, it's kind of cool that a lot of Aries go into the military. And I've seen this, like if I look at 1,000 charts, I'd say probably 900 of them went into the military in some way, or were interested in, or at some point wanted to go into the military. I meet so many Aries. Also, they go into sports, anything with competition, because that's Mars, that's Aries energy, is competition, challenge, the warrior energy. They're called the warrior of the zodiac. So they're passionate and they love to compete. They're usually very athletic. They need physical activity, and they're very interested in the military and drawn to that, that kind of career field. And they also they don't like things that are boring and easy. The easier, if something's real simple, they get bored. They like a challenge. and so they like to be tested, and then they like to fight for what they want, and they like someone that'll argue with them. Aries is fire, so they got that passion, and they never give up, when they get their goals. So there's a positive side to Aries, but Aries are known to have a temper and have that anger. That it's like they react, and that emotion comes straight up and it comes out their mouth. They're known to be blunt, direct, assertive, and tell you what they think, and they can lose their temper. They're impatient and impulsive. They rush into battle. If you think of, an Aries, it's like they act instead of wait, let's strategize and all that. They're not a strategizer. They go by their gut, their instinct.
This is also true of all the Aries that I know. And I have a lot of female Aries that I'm surrounded by. And I'm going to say, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but of the Aries that I know, master manipulators, they're good at thinking, how I can get what I want, by pushing a button in other people. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah. They want to push your button. They want to get you to argue with them, because when they like to argue, they like someone to get emotional and upset, because then they like to, it's like a game sometimes. And that's the bad side of Aries, is that they're known to be heartbreakers, because I used to date a lot of them, and they're so romantic and all of this, but they're not always long-term. They commitment can be hard for them because they get bored. And they like to feel that feeling of love. They like intense emotions. So when something becomes too normal and boring, they get a little restless. So they like a challenge. So they need a partner that will argue with them and challenge them, and that's as strong as they are.
Because dated an Aries about 1.5 years ago, not even. Yes. It's not true. I'm not trying to read into this, but as you're saying it, it's like, that's it. Very, just get out of my way. I'm an Aries, get out of my way.
Oh yeah. They're that ram, they're the symbol of the ram, the animal, the ram with those horns, and they just put their horns down and they go full speed. That's their symbol.
Would you say many Aries are, or very much can be, empaths?
Now, I do know some Aries that are, I always tell Aries people, you're very intuitive, because they do have this gut instinct.
Yeah.
The problem is, one of the healing tips in my book, I tell Aries in my sun signs book, is you need to wait and you need to step back and stop before you act, because they just want to rush into battle. They want to act on their gut. And it's like, just hold on. Don't send that email when you're mad. Don't do anything or say anything. Step away, go for a walk, go in nature, then think about what you're feeling, and then you can address it, because that's what gets them into trouble, is their quick reactions and their need for action. They don't like to wait. They're very impatient people. So if you're more calm and you want to research things and you want to read and take your time to make a decision, they'll go on without you. They'll act, or they'll say, I'm bored with this, and they'll go do something else, or it's hard for them to be patient. They can't help it. They're ruled by the planet Mars. I mean, and they're fire, but they need people to stabilize them. So they're often drawn to their opposite, which is Libra. And, when you have Libra energy, your moon's in Libra, you got some Libra Venus. So you may draw Aries because that's your polar opposite, which is a compatible element, but you're different, because you're more calm and more of a peacemaker, more intellectual. Let's think this through before you just, go and do something that you might regret. Right. So you're kind of the balance, but you can't help but be drawn to them because they're known to be confident, self-assured, arrogant, all those Mars energies, like no one's going to stop them. Like, I don't care if you like me or not, kind of thing. And they just speak their mind, which I respect that about Aries, is that they tell you what they really think and feel. You don't have to guess with them. It's not like a Gemini that might be changing and tell you they love you one day and the next they don't want to be with you. You're like, what happened? I thought we had a plan.
Yeah, that's you just described my ex-wife in the Gemini. and the Aries, that's my mom. She was just like that. She would speak her mind, and that was that and everybody knew it for that. And it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just, this is how I feel. I'm going to tell you.
They run the roost. Like they like to rule the roost. Aries, I have an Aries moon. So emotionally, I have an Aries energy. And so I typically, only my family and friends see that side of me, when I get upset but I have realized that they are that intuition is, I think, where I get that, because I feel things instinctually. That's Aries, they're instinctual. They just immediately feel things, and they're usually right. The problem is they're impulsive. I had to learn to be patient and not to just say what I feel all the time, because not everyone's trustworthy either. Aries are very loving and generous too, though. They'll do anything if they love you. They are the warrior. They will defend their family, their friends. They're very loyal, but they just have this fierce passion inside. That's all. And I like them, but I can't be married to one or date them. I can work with them because they're very motivated and they love change. Like, they love new ideas. They're a cardinal sign. So cardinal signs start the seasons. So they start the spring. So they like newness. They get bored easy, and it's hard for them to sit still. Some of them are always on the go. Like, they got to be.
You're saying in Aries, correct?
Yeah. They got to be.
Are they? Is there a correlation between Gemini? Because the Gemini, in my view, likes change. It's and not afraid of change. Likes moving it forward. Very social, obviously, right?
Yeah, Geminis are known to be restless as well. The fire and air signs are all known to have a restlessness, and they get bored easy. That's a Gemini thing as well. But Geminis, Aries are more emotional. They feel deeply, and they're confident. They're confident. Where Geminis are the twins, so they're indecisive. Geminis are known to change their mind. They're changeable. And Aries, that makes up their mind, they're going to go forward and they're going to not give up. They're not going to change on you. If they decide, they're going to act, and they're not going to go wishy-washy on you. Now, a Gemini will be like, I've had this happen. I have some Gemini friends in business, and we had 3 different ideas. It's happened 3 times now. Agreed to do something, and then the next day, like, it was a plan. Next day, oh, I start thinking about, I don't think I'm going to do this now. I don't think it's right for me. They're very, and I learned, I love them, but I can't depend on them. Like, I can't, like, for business or like work, I just gotta, I know how they are. They're going to change their mind, and it'll shock me. And I'm ready to, like, let's act. And they're not. And then they change on me, and I'm like, whoa, because that's Gemini. They can't help it. They're indecisive. They're back and forth with these 2 different natures,
Would you say, final question on Gemini, and then I want to look at midheaven.
Yes.
And what that means. But would you say Geminis are, whereby Aries are more emotional, Geminis kind of just let it roll off? I really don't care. It's okay.
Yeah. Geminis are, they have a dark side and a light side. The angel and the devil on the shoulder. That's kind of what I see with Gemini. I mean, they can be sweet as can be, and so kind and friendly. I mean, they're social. And you think, oh my gosh, they can talk, and they're so fun, and let's go have fun and all the stuff. Yep. And then they got this other side. And when it comes out, you're like, whoa, like, I didn't even know you were this way. Like, because they have these two sides to them. And they don't always see it. They're and what it is that they're the twin, they're changeable. And so they are very, very intelligent. They need mental stimulation, or they get bored. They're known to have trouble with commitment and being loyal in a relationship and things, and committing to a plan, because they're, one day they're like, okay, we're going to go here and let's do this. And then they're like, no, I changed my mind. They want to wing it. They're kind of, let's wing it kind of thing.
100%. Yeah.
And they're intellectual. They're in their mind. They don't really feel emotion like the earth and water signs do. We're very sensitive and very introverted, and when we care about someone, we take it real seriously. They just kind of, like you said, they may one day they really love you, and then they'll tell you, I've had it happen to me, I really like you, but I don't want a commitment, and a week earlier, I love you, I think I want to get married, and you're like, what happened?
It's so true. And I don't want to just pigeonhole them, but
I know
based on my experience, and I was even thinking back to another Gemini that I dated way back in the day.
Yeah,
it sounds like the same. It's all there. Midheaven, heard it? I know you can tell it from somebody's chart. What does it mean?
Yes. So in our chart, we have the 12 houses we talked about, and everyone knows their sun, moon sign. And then we have what's called the rising sign. We talk about that, the ascendant, which is your mask, how people first perceive you when they first meet you. Then we have what's called the midheaven, which is at the very top of the chart in the wheel. And we call it the 10th house cusp. It's pretty much where the career house meets the top of the sky when you're born. When we take a picture of the sky and we put it down on a piece of paper, that shows us, where the top of the chart is. And in the midheaven I look at the midheaven for a couple things. First, what kind of sign is on the midheaven? Because that's going to show what kind of career fields are best for you. What kind of work, where the public image is that you're going to shine, how you're going to have success. The 10th house is all about success. The public, achieving things, being seen, being known, and work. Your career success is all about the midheaven. And so we always look at people, they're like, what should I do for a living? And I always look at their midheaven first, and for instance, with you, you got Pisces on the midheaven, which tells me you need to be able to express your artistic and creative and spiritual abilities and spiritual side. You need to be able to express emotion and compassion and express your creative and artistic talents, and to work in the spiritual realm, finding a meaning of life, the meaning of the soul. Why am I here? All of those deep things are 12th house Pisces angel energy, right? Like helping others. But it's also, Pisces are one of the most creative and imaginative and artistic signs. And so as the midheaven, that tells me your career field, you're going to succeed in anything you do that is creative, artistic. That could be, radio, talking to people, interviewing spiritual people, all these things is your Pisces midheaven,
Wow. It almost sounds like, and thank you for that. It's like, this is, if you want to find out what your real purpose is in life,
yeah,
you look at the midheaven.
Yes, it's your higher calling. And so with me, for instance, this is so weird. And I always wonder, what is it about me? But I know what it is now. It's my midheaven. My midheaven is Gemini. And so in my life, I've always got really bored at normal jobs. So when about a year into a job, once the newness wore off, I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Like I'm already know this now. Like I want a challenge in my work. And so I've always had two jobs. And that's what, and I just always did. And now that I know astrology, I'm like, oh, there you go. Because when Gemini's on the midheaven, you're supposed to have two jobs. It's better for you to have two different incomes and two jobs. And I've always done my astrology business, my astrology counseling work. And then I have a normal social work job, where I'm a licensed social worker. So
wow.
I've balanced both. And then writing, to me, writing books, that's a side job. I'm not meant to do just one job and that's it. I'm meant to have two or three, it's multitasking. Geminis are known to be able to multitask. They're good at juggling many different things. And I'm meant to do that in career. And I know it's true. So I love it when I get bored, when I'm in a job longer than, right now, I'm in this job that I've had for 7 years. I've been in this job longer than I've ever had a job because I was married to a military guy, which was perfect for me because we moved every 2 to 3 years. And I got a new job every 2 to 3 years and I was loving it. I'm like, oh, good. It's time to move. I'll start a new job. And then when he retired, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in this job now and I'm not going to be leaving. And so that boredom, kicked in for me and that I needed a challenge. So writing books, doing astrology has always been my outlet, my creative outlet, to balance my midheaven. But my midheaven, I like to talk. I like to teach. I like to do radio. All these things is like what I'm really meant to do is have these.
And I feel that coming from you, that especially the teach, and I don't mean just teach astrology to somebody, but teach the world. I want you to understand it. I've never met anybody that does what you do the way you do it. And I think that's also because of the other side of you in terms of, your social work.
Yeah.
Find another psychological astrologer out there. I haven't found one except you. And with that helps you tap into a deeper meaning, but making it so it's easy to understand. Because I got to tell you, years exposed to this, when it starts getting deep and the third house and the sun, blah, 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 I'm like, just tell me what I got to do.
I know, right?
And I think a lot of people feel that way. It gets too heavy for them, but you make it easy to understand.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing with my midheaven, and because if you think about the third house in our chart, it rules basic knowledge, basic education, communication, short journeys, but it's basic knowledge. So Gemini midheaven means I'm meant to teach these topics on a basic practical level. And that's what I'm trying to do with astrology, is to make it really simple where any normal person can get it. Like it's like I'm talking to you in a therapy session, and I'm not, getting into, the degrees, but I'm like, okay, this is your emotional nature. These are some things that might help you. I try to bring it to a practical, basic way.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing with it. And that's my passion. And that's what I'm hoping I can continue to do.
And I feel it. And I've had readings before, my chart done, one astrologer, highly recommended. And I think she's great.
Yeah.
But when it comes to explaining, and she said certain things that came true, and it's not like she's a fortune teller. It's like, as I learned it, it's the timeline of your life. And the astrologer is just pointing things out. This is coming up. This is going to come. But when it got a little bit deeper, I completely lost. I was, and didn't help that she had a slight English accent, and I just didn't get it. But I got what I needed, and that was great. But I feel that you're more plugged into how the average person thinks and how they process this stuff, or not.
I try to make it very, very
user friendly.
Yeah, user friendly, like teaching. Really, I think what it is I'm teaching this on a basic level when we talk. Just I'm opening people's minds to its energy.
Yeah,
astrology is energy. Energy is real. And it affects life on earth. And we can see it play out in our personal life, our emotions, our mind, body, spirit every day, and in the world, on the news, and we can see it in our friends and partners' lives, and, it's just basic things, like the health things. I was just talking to our mailman, and he told me this whole story, how he fell and he shattered his foot. And I said, when's your birthday? He's a Pisces. Pisces rules the feet, and they usually, have these issues with their feet. He's had multiple surgeries on his foot, and he, and he's had a real hard time, and it was all from stepping off a step and missing it. Yeah. And he's been, just healing from that. And I'm like, wow. And I didn't tell him, oh, you're a Pisces, it rules the feet, but I'm like, aha. So, I just see this every day in my life, and for 30 years. And that's why I know it's true. I know there's something to this energy. And it's right on. Like, and when people call me, they're like, I'm doing a chart. I'm very much a counselor when I do a chart. I'm not going to confuse people. I'm helping them. I'm giving them tips. Sometimes we do breathing exercises. Sometimes we do some trauma, healing trauma things. When I'm doing a chart.
You're an astro therapist, astrotherapist. I just made that up.
I like that.
Kind of what it is. And, yes, that's what you're doing. That's what makes you different. We're just about out of time. And I want to share, because I've been sharing with a lot of people. I don't know if you realize this, but 3 weeks ago, whatever, astrologically, you did say that there was war going to break out, and there was going to be something of worldwide proportions.
Yeah.
And then it happened. And that's, based on astrology. Amazing.
It's the planets. It's the energy that God created. And I believe that and Jesus said in the Bible, there shall be signs in the sun, moon, and stars.
And there are.
And it's in many ancient cultures and many ancient religions, talk about the stars in the sky. I mean, that's how, the eclipses and all these things, before our ancestors knew what they were afraid. I mean, when the sun and moon got to, and it was dark, they're like, wow, it's going to be something major's happening. And their crops, how they got their food, everything was astrological. How they found,
healing, even healing was astral medicine, everything. How do we locate you, Carmen? It's your name is your website.
Yes, CarmenTurnerSchott.com. and it's SCHOTT. So CarmenTurnerSchott.com. You can find me on my website. I have Facebook astrology groups that you can join. I have a Facebook page, an Instagram, a YouTube channel, which is my name, Carmen Turner Schott. Feel free to reach out, if you're hearing this. And if you have questions, if you go to my website, I actually have been giving out a free birth chart wheel. So if you sign up for my newsletter, I'll email you your wheel so you can see it, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I'll personally email you. I got behind. I had about 100 requests, but I'm kicking through, and I will send you your chart.
So cool.
If you go to my website, yeah.
Look at the insight that you'll gain just from that. Now think of if you do somebody's full chart and the insight that can come from there that's going to support you for the next year and change. Thank you so much for being here. It's
Thank you.
I should be an Aries because I never get bored with you.
This is cool.
I never do.
I know me either.
It's always exciting, and look forward next time we get together.
Right, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.